Imagine that you have an argument with your female partner. Things get heated, the police get called, and when they show up, now it turns to some sort of allegation of physical abuse. You try to explain to the police officers as the male that it didn't happen the way she's explaining it. And despite the lack of any physical evidence of any type of physical altercation, you get arrested, taken to jail, and charged with crime. Does it sound like it should happen that way? Happens a lot of times. Of all cause of domestic disputes, 75 to 79% of the time, the male gets arrested. In this episode of Under Glass, we're going to look into a case out of El Paso, Texas, where a gentleman by the name of Jesse Patino is going through exactly what I described.
So, tell me about this. You're currently being charged with a criminal offense involving family violence.
Yes, that's correct. I was in a situation with a woman, right, ex-girlfriend, and at first things as they always do, were good, fine and dandy. We hit it off really good. But later on, within time, we got to find out more about each other, and on this particular day we had already been arguing, little arguments about this.
And you guys were together for how long before this?
We were together for 8 months.
Okay.
8 months total,
And then over time, at first everything's beautiful, right? And then over time, progressively, you start to see some red flags, let's say, right? And then there was this particular day of the giant red flag.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're I believe you were getting into that day, right?
Right.
Okay.
So it all started because so I work out of town. I'm an electrician. I work out of town, and I would leave Monday morning, and I'd be back Friday afternoon. Well, one of these days I had seen her phone. Right, she left her phone out, and I just saw a message from her ex. So her and her ex started talking. They had a conversation and whatnot, and supposedly they were gonna meet up for lunch and whatnot. So I didn't get mad about it, but she kind of kept it from me. So I'm like, well, is there anything you want to tell me about this? And that's what generated, because that's what generated to the big red flag, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so that's how it happened. It was all over a conversation, over the message. And when I confronted her about it, well, she got upset. Whether she was in the right or whether she was in the wrong, it bothered her.
Right.
It bothered her, and things just got out of hand. At the time, we had moved into a house together. So, mind you, she has 4 kids. Okay. I have 3 kids. My kids are grown now. Okay. So the 4
So
kids.
it's kind of like a Brady Bunch thing.
Right, there you go. But my kids, they don't reside with me. So we, I took her in, and I took her kids in, and from that moment on, well, they were my responsibility, because you can't have one without the other.
Right.
So I had a company truck at the time, right? It was getting serviced, and we only had one vehicle. She didn't have a vehicle. So on this day, she had to go to work, and it was November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving. That's when,
What kind of work does she do?
She works at a foot specialist.
Okay.
So she
Podiatrist or something.
Yeah,
like
podiatrist. There you go. So on this day, well, it was the day before Thanksgiving. So I'm like, hey, I'll take you to work, pick you up, I'll drop you off. That gives me time to. We only have one car, which was my car.
And then you guys are planning on having a beautiful Thanksgiving, lots of turkey, lots of right.
Right.
Okay.
Family,
But that didn't happen.
That didn't happen
Okay,
at all.
okay.
No. I mean, no, by far. No, I woke up, downtown in the county jail. So.
Well, how did that happen?
So when I confronted her about this, it was kind of like just back and forth bickering. You know what I mean? Hey, just. Give me a peace of mind. I can't work out of town and not be able to trust you. I mean, if I'm going all in with you and your kids that are not even mine, I'm invested. I'm invested in you. So, what happened was I had brought up the conversation again. Well, I should have dropped it, right? It should have been squashed, but I just wasn't.
Well, there's something to be said about being in a relationship and having the freedom to talk about what's on your heart, what's on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other party not wanting you to hold things back. So the idea of if you should have dropped it, I don't necessarily think so, because if it was on your heart,
right,
she wouldn't want you to keep it from her, or she shouldn't want you to keep it from her.
Right, yeah. And so I was really uneasy about it. Why? Because she didn't actually just, just say, hey, you know what, just be upfront with me. Yeah, you know what, we talked with this and this, when we didn't meet for lunch, whatever the situation was,
Mm-hmm.
So I was just really uneasy about it. And so we're just on the way to dropping her off at work. We're just arguing back and forth, right? Like, hey, you know what, how can I trust you? Or you could trust me and, you don't have to worry, but, what the message say otherwise, I mean, I'm not a rocket scientist, but, it's not hard to put two and two together, So, on that day, we're driving to work, right? And her phone rings.
You're driving?
I'm driving.
Okay. And this is your vehicle?
My vehicle.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm driving my vehicle, taking her to work.
Mm-hmm.
And we live in the Northeast. She works on the East side.
So I know what you're talking about, but just for viewers, Northeast, East side of
El Paso,
Texas.
El Paso, Texas, yes,
Okay.
sir. So it's about a 20-minute drive,
Okay.
maybe 25 with traffic, So it's about 8 in the morning. We're going down the highway. Her phone starts going off, and she doesn't want to answer. She doesn't want a message. So it just raises more suspicion. At this point, she's saying that I try to grab her phone and get and see the messages, which I was driving. Keep in mind, I'm driving on the freeway 65 miles an hour. I'm not one to get the phone. Well, especially try to open it while we're on the highway, right? So she just gets upset.
What type of vehicle?
It's 2013 Chevy Malibu.
Okay.
A car.
Okay. So yeah, so that's definitely not the kind of, it's not like it's a big safe truck or something.
Oh yeah,
it's not something you want to be like trying to grab a phone and navigate at the same time, right?
Okay. So so she just goes. She just gets upset, and she got upset to the point where she wants to jump out of the car, and mind you, we're on the highway doing 65, right? So she just had enough of it, I guess. She snapped.
Do you think she was just saying that to get like attention or to show like drama, or do you think she really was gonna jump out?
Well, in all honesty, I mean, I couldn't call it. I think
50-50, and you don't want to take the chance.
I mean, I don't want to take the chance. Right. No, I mean, I care for this girl,
Sure.
I loved her.
And by the way, even if it was a stranger, you don't want to see a stranger's guts get splattered on the freeway. You know what I mean? As a human being, you don't even want that. Even more so for someone you care about.
Right, exactly. And so I'm trying to keep the peace, but it's not happening. The fuse is lit.
Sure.
The firecracker, boom, goes off.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens next is she tries to jump out of the vehicle, right? I reach over and I grab her and I pull her back in because she opens the door full blown.
You have one hand on the steering wheel and the other hand grabbing her.
Yes.
Very dangerous,
yes.
Right? But you have to.
Well,
make sure.
At the time she didn't think about it, but it was both our lives on the line.
Oh, not just you guys. Other vehicles on the road as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So and from there, I grab her. She starts throwing punches. She starts hitting me. She starts grabbing the steering wheel. So now I'm swerving. Next thing she does, she wants out. She's not having it, right? And we're on the freeway. There's no exit. There's nothing for a couple miles, right?
Could you have maybe just come to a complete stop in the freeway?
I could have.
Yeah.
I could have, you know.
But that also could have been dangerous because there's other cars going at a fast speed.
Well, here's what happens next. What she does, she shifts it into reverse. She puts the car, kicks the thing up. So the car starts acting funny, slows down. I pull over, right? At this point, she kind of just was like, "Oh shit, this just happened," you know. So at this point, she's like, but she still wants out. But she realized the intensity of what's happening. I'm trying to calm her down. Hey, look, check it out. Just, you know, it's not to blow out of proportion the way that things are going. It's not that, you know. I had no idea that she had other plans that didn't involve me, you know. So, and I'm just gonna take it back a little bit here. When we first met, she was living in. She had her house. I had my house, right? Well, come to find out that she was getting evicted because she couldn't you know pay the rent, right? So she has 4 kids, whatnot. And there's a series of things that I come to find out, you know, within time. But so what I do, I'm like, hey, well, you know, if me and you are gonna be together, forget about all that, you know, don't worry about it. We're gonna move you out. You come move in with me, you and the kids. At this time, I only had a 2-bedroom home, and so we were kind of packed, but we made it work, you know. Mm-hmm. So her and the kids, they come, they live with me. At this time, my lease was up, so we start talking. I'm like, hey, well, we could afford a bigger house, you know, between the both of us. You got a good job, I got a good job. Let's get a place together. So we agree to that, right? We get this place. The thing that hurt me the most is that I was really invested in this, you know.
Right.
In her and the kids. I was about her, about them, you know. I thought I had found the one. I was ready to settle down. Tie the knot, you know, off the market. But like I said, she had other plans and I was not a part of those plans. So, you know, I put the deposit down, I put the rent, it's about $5,000 total. You know, so she helps out little by little. I'm not that I'm asking her for much, you know. She's able to help, you know, whatever you can, help me. We move in together. What I didn't know is that when she signed the lease, I was only listed as a tenant, not as the leaser, you know. So that kind of
came back to bite you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I take the kids in. I furnish the house completely. We buy new furniture, you know, and I'm coming out of pocket for everything. You know, I don't mind because, you know, this is my family. I'm invested. I'm invested in it, you know. So on the day,
IKEA for the furniture.
No,
I went to like a local place.
You know what? We actually got it. We actually got it from Rent-A-Center.
Okay, Rent-A-Center.
Yeah, we got it from Rent-A-Center, but we took out a bunch of stuff. You know, we took out little by little, but we paid one thing off and then gradually bought something else.
Right. You were not just telling her that you love her. You were showing it with your actions.
Right.
You know. And I'm sure that when you were renting the things, it's on your credit.
You know what? We had put it. So unfortunately, my credit's not to par, right? Even with Rent-A-Center, so we put it under her name.
However, you were making the payment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So you know, you had the chance to say, hey, well, you know, it's on you, right? It's on your credit, but instead, you took care of her and actually helped her credit by making these payments.
Right. You know, and you know, I mean, to me, it was our home. You know, so to me, I wanted her to be comfortable. I wanted the kids to be comfortable. You know, not only that, when they came to my house, they didn't, you know, she had dogs, so a bunch of her stuff was damaged, it was no good, you know, and I'm like, well, we have a nice home, you know, let's buy new stuff. So
did she bring the dogs with her to your new home?
No, the dogs, they had actually got out and they ran away and they ended up at the dog pound. So, and we weren't able to have dogs, so that's how that went down, you know, but I did what I could as a man, as a good person, as a humble individual. I wanted the best for us. I wanted the best for her.
Well, that makes sense. That's what love does. Love sacrifices. But so the last I remember hearing from you though was that you this is happening. She's hitting you in the car, right? And then she puts the car in reverse while it's driving, which I know from experience. I got a rental from Enterprise when I was a kid and thought it would be funny to do that. Right? So I know that it doesn't put the car in reverse, but it grinds the gears and makes it start acting funny, just like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's happening. She realizes, oh wow, what's going on? And then what happens?
Well, so I put the car back in drive. We slow down. I get over to the median. I put the car back in drive. And we continue on the way to take her to work. At this point, she just wants out, so she starts going ballistic. She starts kicking. She starts hitting. She starts screaming.
And what was keeping her from leaving? Was it you holding her, or was it the doors being locked?
No, well, she kind of, once the car, the first time she did it, right? The first time she put the car in reverse, she kind of just like, oh, dang, like she kind of snapped out of it for a quick second, So I'm like, hey, just relax, it's not even for all this. You're blowing it out of proportion for no reason over a text message. I mean, if you have nothing to hide, then why are you getting so upset about it? Obviously, there's more to that than what you're telling me. And all I wanted was just honesty, whether she wanted to stay or whether she wanted to go. It was okay because me and her had no attachments to it.
Well, I don't know much about it as an outsider, but it sounds to me like she wanted both at the same time. She didn't want to leave, but she wanted both, right? Both. She wanted you, but she also wanted, she liked the situation with you, but she also missed who she was with, and kind of, and that's, of course, it's a selfish thing, right? When someone thinks, okay, well, I deserve both, right? And I'm sure she wouldn't tolerate it if you said, oh, well, I deserve both. I want to contact my ex as well, and so it's interesting always when people think, it's okay for me to do it, but if my partner does it, there's a problem, right? So then, what happened? Were like police involved? How crazy?
Yeah. So we get back on the road, right? And
so you're on the freeway. You pull off the freeway, or you?
No, we're still on the freeway.
Okay. So you never got off the road.
We never got off the freeway.
But you came to a stop, pretty much.
Right. Oh well, yeah. I came to a stop. Much.
Which lane were you in?
We were in the fast lane actually.
And you came to a stop.
Well, I had to pull over to the side, to the shoulder.
Okay.
So she kind of snaps out of it. We get going again, and then again starts up. And she's just like, I don't want to be with you. This and that. She starts, talking all sorts of stuff, and I'm like, where's all this coming from? Like, you didn't feel like this last week, 2 days ago. You say you love me, you care for me, you're my ride or die. You said I'm your man, and she's just not having it. So she puts the car again in gear. At that point, I did come to a complete stop.
Right.
When that happens, she jumps out. She jumps out of the car, and then she takes off running across the highway. Yes, she takes off.
And were there a lot of cars that day?
You know what? It was a day before Thanksgiving.
So maybe it was actually day before Thanksgiving. A lot of people are traveling, right? So yeah.
So I mean, at this point in time when we're pulled over on the side of the road, I mean there was traffic, but how she made it across without getting hit?
By the grace of God.
Yes, sir. Yeah, because I don't. I even I tried to stop her and hey, try to calm her down. She wasn't having it. She just wanted out.
When she ran off, it didn't end there.
No.
So what happened after that?
So she runs off, right? And there was a passerby, right? They see her coming off, and just from what I know or from what I've heard, hearsay, right? She goes and this lady stops her and she's like, she helps her because she's asking for help. She's screaming, she's crying, she's all of it, But what's baffling is that the police get involved, right? They call the police. The police
The people who are passing by call the police,
right,
because they see a woman who's hysterical and crying and all that.
right.
Okay.
So the police get involved, and you know me, I'm calling her. I'm trying to find out where she's at. Is she okay? You know, I'm just trying to calm the situation so we don't have to go through this. And at this point, the way I seen her, I had never seen that side of her. You know, I didn't know that she really was that person deep down inside, or she felt like that. You know, if she really wanted out, she could have said that, and I would have been fine with it. Long story short, the police get involved, right? I'm calling her, she's not answering. Finally, I get an answer, and it's from the police department.
They answered her phone.
Her phone.
Okay.
So they're like, "Hey, Mr. Patino, we're here. We need you to come back to give a statement. This, and that." And I'm like, "Well, hold up. Are you guys gonna arrest me? What is she telling you? You know, what exactly is she saying that's going on? A statement for what? Because she jumped out of the car." Well, according to Miss Campa, according to her, I punched her.
And they told you that over the phone.
Over the phone, right?
I'm surprised. I thought they would try to say, "Oh no, we just need you to sign some paperwork to get you down there."
Right.
Because instead they're spilling the beans and telling you what she said, which a lot of people then would hear that and be like, "Well, I'm not coming down to the station then."
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they're alleging that I choked her. They're alleging that I slammed her head into the dash.
She's alleging that.
Yes.
And they were just taking her word.
Right. Yeah, because you know she runs off the freeway. She's
right.
She's panicking.
Emotional.
Yeah.
So the alleging is that you choked her, slammed her head where?
Against the dashboard.
Against the dashboard. What else did she say?
She said that I punched her.
Okay.
That I choked her. She's saying that I slammed her head into the window.
Now, just you're about to tell me even more, but just off what you told me right now, it wouldn't be possible for someone to sustain those kinds of injuries without very serious physical evidence when you look at the person.
Right.
So I didn't mean to interrupt. You were telling what else? Anything else that she said that?
Well, she said those things, right? And she's saying that I punched her. You know.
And by the way, you're a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
If you really punched her, then there would be physical evidence. And slamming the head and all that stuff, there's physical evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I was privy to the photo
Mm-hmm.
that she had sent, and it didn't seem that there was any evidence in that photo of any violence to that extent. Because what she's describing is huge.
Mm-hmm.
You would definitely see that. In fact, most likely there'd be blood, there'd be all kinds of things with such a thing. And there was none of that.
Mm-hmm. Some bruising, some welches. I mean, if you get slammed against the window, you're gonna have some kind of bruising, some kind of knot or something. Well, the thing here is that everything that the affidavit says, right? That I did this, that I slammed her head, that I punched her, that I choked her. It doesn't add up. In the photos that they took of her on the body camera, that they have the body camera footage from PD. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense at all. Like you said, if I would have done that, you would have been able to tell. You would have been able to see the extent to where I slammed her, to the extent to where I punched her or I choked her. What I did do, I did reach over and grab her and put her back in the car because she wanted to jump out at 65 miles.
And that's a safety issue,
right?
And also. If there was any bruising on her arm from you grabbing her arm so tightly to save her, that is not congruent with slamming a head on the dashboard, on the window, or punches, right? It actually validates your story, not her story, if she had bruising on her arm.
Right, and and I did stop her because I cared for her. I didn't want to see her drug across the freeway. Nobody wants to see that. I didn't want that for her, but that's what she's alleging that I did to her. Now, what gets me the most is that you read the affidavit, right? And it makes me look like a monster. Sure. It makes me look like a person that should be behind bars for something horrific, right? But when you see the supporting evidence,
it doesn't add up. So the police told you this on the phone, and this is the El Paso Police Department.
Yes, sir.
And then what did you do after that? You spoke to them.
Well, so they're like, we need you to come down here, meet me. They wanted to meet at the station, you know. And keep in mind, I do have I do have a priors. I do have a history. You know, I guess, you know, growing up, you know, I wasn't the best kid. You know, I made some bad decisions. You know,
okay.
But I spent 4.5 years on a 5-year sentence and TDCJ. So those 4.5 years.
In where?
TDCJ.
And what is that?
Prison, Texas prison.
Okay.
And
Texas where is that located? What
well, you know, they take you to they take you to get classified up to Texas, East Texas, and then from there they transfer you.
Right. So you're shipped all around.
All over, right, you know. And so my record is not, you know, it's not clean. You know, I have some mistakes, and in my accountability, integrity as a man, allow me to say that, because I have nothing to hide.
Right.
That defines who I am today, because that part of my life changed me. It humbled me. You know, it made me value, it made me realize and appreciate.
You know, a good shepherd, right, has to sometimes use the rod of correction on its sheep. So blessed are those who God uses the rod of correction as the chief shepherd, right? You being learning from your past and being even better for it was the shepherd using his rod of correction, right? One of my prayers a lot of times is, Lord, whip my ass into shape. You know, and if you gotta knock me in the head, Lord, do it.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
And that's what he did to you in that. And seems that it worked, right? He knew what he was doing, because, you know, you went from saying, I'm gonna go my own way. Instead, you said, okay, Lord, I'm going your way, right? So it was you know, people could look at it like a negative thing, what you went through in your past, doing those 3.5 years. But God's specialty is turning negatives into positives.
Exactly. And that's, you know, and I really did turn my life around, you know. I really did turn a negative into a positive.
Sure.
And I've been out, I got out January 3rd, 2019. So I've been out 6 years already. You know, within those 6 years, I've been able to, you know, establish myself. I got a home, I got a truck, I got a good job. I've obtained a CDL, so I've done a numerous amount of things to benefit myself.
And this was when you went in for, not for this incident you're describing.
No.
This is previous.
Prior.
And then you got, but so they told you, hey, come down to the station. You let them know about your priors, which they probably already knew if they had your name, but they probably appreciated the honesty. And then what did you do after that? Did you go there to the station?
You know what? I'm going to be really honest with you. I agreed. I agreed to meet with them. I agreed to meet with them for the simple fact that I know that I didn't do everything she said that I did to her. And the only reason I went back to give a statement and to speak to those officers is because I know deep down in my heart, I'm not guilty of doing what she's accusing me of doing. I know better. You know, a lot of people say, yeah, you have a record, you're a criminal. Well, yeah, criminal minds think different than regular people, you know. If I was guilty of all that, what would it have cost me to let them come and find me?
Right.
They could have came and chased me. I could have let them give them the runaround.
So is that what ended up happening?
No. Well, I went back and I agreed to meat with them, you know.
Okay. And so you went to the station.
Right. Not to the station. They agreed to, they were at the location to where the lady lived. The lady that saw her run off the freeway.
Okay, so
lived close by.
You went to her house?
Not to her.
Or but like to the air, right?
To the area.
Okay.
to the area, and I had already been driving around trying to find her. I didn't want her to, she ran off like that. Like, I care for her. I'm not just gonna. How can I just
leave it?
leave it?
But what happened though when when you got there and you spoke to the police? Were they willing to listen to what you had to say?
They really didn't care what I had to say.
They just said, turn around, put your hands behind your back.
Yeah, I was already.
And of course, your vehicle probably got towed.
Well, I had left the vehicle, so what I did is.
You went on foot.
Yeah, I went on foot. Yeah, and another thing, if all this happened the way she said it happened, my vehicle would have been full of blood. My vehicle would have been
correct. Absolutely. Well, yeah. There's not only evidence in your vehicle,
Mhm.
evidence on her, on her clothing,
and
on your hand,
on
right?
my hand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So.
And I did have some scratches too, but the
But that's your blood, not her blood. You know.
yeah,
What I mean?
that's my blood.
Right.
Like, from where she scratched me, from where she assaulted me.
Right.
Now, I mean, I went back because it was the right thing to do. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
You went back. You mean to talk to the police?
To talk to the police, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, at that point,
I had to stand up for myself.
But as soon as you went there to talk to them, they didn't want to hear what you had to say. They just said, put your hands behind your back, and they took you in.
Yeah, well, they tried. They played the part that they wanted here.
For like a minute or two.
Yeah.
Okay, we heard what you got to say. Now turn around.
Yeah, now turn around.
And because of your innocence, you walked into that situation saying, the truth shall set me free.
Right.
And without, but they had already made up their minds,
Mm-hmm.
sounds like, even before they spoke to you.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. This happened the day before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So you were locked up on Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be remiss to not ask you, because I'm sure a lot of the viewers want to know. Do they do anything special when you're locked up for Thanksgiving? No turkey? No cranberry sauce? Yams? Nothing?
You know what? It's jail, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's jail, and believe it or not, the inside the Texas prisons, inside the county jail, El Paso County,
Yeah.
it's really it's harsh. It's harsh. They it's very
There's
malnourished.
no, yeah, right. And even on special occasions, it's not like they give you like an Applebee's gift card on your birthday or anything
definitely
like that.
not.
Right?
I mean, they might serve you some turkey or a small portion of something,
right?
But it's nothing. I mean, it's Meals on Wheels. You get what you get.
It's almost like animalistic treatment.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so then you were there and locked up for how long?
So I was locked up for the night, right? And then my family posted my bond.
Okay.
My family posted my bond.
How much was it?
I believe it was $25,000.
Okay.
So we had to pay 10% of that, so
Right.
$2,500 on that, and then I was later released. I was released, but when I was released, I came out because I had to see the judge, right? So they put a protective order on me. Not only a 60-day protective order.
Where you can't contact her.
No contact, nothing.
Which, by the way, might have been a blessing in disguise,
Right.
Because it sounds like she had some red flags. You know what I mean? So,
But and it was only against her. It was against the kids also. Keep in mind, when we got into the relationship, it was not just about us because she had the kids. I had to, win the kids.
Here's the thing. So you built up a unilateral relationship with the children, right? But at the same time, talking to them, even being there for them as a father figure, still puts you in the atmosphere of a toxic individual. So as much as it's heartbreaking to have that relationship be severed with the children, in some ways it feels like it's almost necessary, because those children are going to be forever attached to somebody whose goal is to wrongfully and unfairly put you in prison because she can't be selfish and have you and her ex simultaneously, right? The greed and the selfishness that comes, and that's what I believe a lot of the anger was about, right? A lot of the frustration in the vehicle about the text was, what do you mean I can't have you and him, right? What's going on? I can do whatever I want. I can have what I want. It's my world, right? I don't care about your feelings or his feelings. This is what I want. I'm not getting what I want. Flipping out, right? So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, as much as it hurts, I think maybe once the children are 18, they could, it'd be a different story. But now, I don't know how you keep that relationship with those kids who you love, who are dear to your heart, who were innocent in all of this.
Right.
How you keep that relationship and without, her, the toxicity entering into your life again. So, I think that maybe the fact that there was an order to stay away was a blessing in disguise. However, it would have been better for the order to be placed on her to stay away from you and not you to stay away from her.
Right. Yeah, so that happens and it hurt. It hurt, man. Saying goodbye hurt. Saying goodbye hurt. I'm not.
Did you get a chance to say goodbye?
To the kids, yeah, I did.
Not they allowed that? One last goodbye?
This was after the fact that I had to go back and get my stuff, you know what I mean?
So this was before the order was set that you couldn't talk to them anymore?
Yeah, after it happened after the order.
Okay.
It was set, and then after the fact that it expired, then that's when
you went and got your
right.
stuff. Okay.
I mean, they're just kicking me out of my house. They keep in mind, they're kicking me out of my house. You can't go back to your house. You can't do this. I live there. I pay bills there.
Well, is she able to pay the rent and everything without you?
You know what? No.
So
they had filed an eviction notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she wasn't able to pay the amount that we would pay, and the rent was $2,000 a month. So
yeah, it would have been life would have been so much more beautiful if she could have not been selfish and said, "Hey, you're my man. You're taking care of me. You love me, my kids, and all that, and let me be a good woman to you. You treat me like a queen. Let me treat you like a king."
Right. And
yeah. Unfortunately, like I said, in my opinion, it was selfishness.
Yeah. Yeah, selfishness. And all I asked was for honesty. Be honest to me, be loyal to me, because nowadays, you don't get that anymore. Nowadays, it's hard, to actually take somebody's word and then stand on it and back it up, And so, yeah, me working out of town, me doing this, prior relationships, me should have known better. I should have known better, but that's the way it went down. That's what happened.
Listen, brother, I have stories. Yeah. I should have known better, all kinds of stuff. So tell me, after all this, what exactly did they charge you with?
So they're charging me with assault, family violence, with impeding breath, and
impeding breath is what for people who?
It's the choking.
The choking.
Yeah.
Now, if there was choking, there would be most likely evidence of that, right? Which there isn't.
Right. Well, if I actually choked her, it'll be visible.
You do construction.
Yes, sir. That's
so.
correct.
I'm sure you're pretty good with your hands. I'm sure you're pretty strong hands.
Yes, sir.
And even if a frail woman chokes someone, there's marks. Let alone a man who does construction.
Right.
But there's no evidence of that.
No, there's no evidence, and we went through this with my attorney, and we've gone over the case and whatnot. And I say my attorney is just a public defender, so he's, in my personal opinion, he's halfway in and halfway out. He has to do his job, but at the same time, play the part in my eyes.
So there's two charges, two charges against you, and I would think that the charges wouldn't stick because of a lack of evidence. But unfortunately, the system is far from perfect, and there have been many cases where people have been locked up unfairly, even when the evidence pointed to their innocence.
Right. The thing that gets me is that I had an incident 10 years ago. It was a bar fight, and so they're considering that as a previous conviction.
That's what you got locked up for?
Right. Well, so I have a drug charge, right? And I took a plea because of everything I was going through at the time, and I didn't know. I guess I just didn't have any guidance. I didn't know better, So the easy way out was for me to take the plea, and they ran all that concurrent. And so that's what's really getting me right now is since I have a previous conviction, they're trying to stick it to me with this one right here. They want to throw the book at me for this accusation.
Right. Doesn't sound fair to me.
No, it doesn't sound fair to me.
So it sounds like they're using your past to repunish you for a debt that you already paid. And what caused you to feel that they're using that and to bring you back?
Well, so keep in mind this happened November 26, 2024.
Okay.
I've been going through courts, and I've been going through the court as they as they happen, right? The last court I had was on June 6, 2025. We went up to the stand in front of the judge, in front of the DA, and the judge looks at the DA and asks the DA, why haven't you dropped the case? If you can't find the witness, why haven't you dropped the case? What's going on here? The DA's response was because of his priors.
They're trying to go after you for something that it's not like you evaded. You paid your debt. Who is the witness?
I'm not sure who the witness is exactly, her name.
Because how could there be a witness if it's no one was in the car with you guys?
No, nobody was in the car.
So
on the freeway.
The idea of there being a witness is preposterous.
The witness that helped her, right?
Yeah, but that person couldn't have witnessed any alleged violence because they helped her after the fact.
After she ran out of the car, over the freeway, and yeah, so there is no witnesses. The only thing that the lady says is she saw her run out the car and down the freeway. That's it.
And that's your testimony validates that is actually what happened. Yeah. She got out of the car, ran out the freeway. You're not denying that.
No, I'm not denying that's what happened. But and the judge had she was kind of upset about it when she presented that to the DA because the DA's she's like the judge said, why don't you drop the case? It sounds like a bogus case. What's going on? And his response was just because of his priors. So they subpoenaed her. The DA had 30 days to subpoena her to come to court, to the next court date. If they weren't able to get a hold of her, it was going to get dismissed. Okay. Well, the next court date comes, right? And apparently they got a hold of her. I'm not sure what they told her. I'm not sure what was said. If they subpoenaed her, if she was there, if she wasn't, I don't know.
Is there a way you can find that information out?
I'm sure my attorney might be able to.
Because I'll tell you, just as someone listening to the story, it's great to know what ended up happening with that supposed witness. But I would assume, mind you, I know nothing, right? What I would assume is that she told the truth, which is I saw her running and she said this, which means you're not a witness at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they probably just said, we can't use you. So you didn't see him hit her? No. You didn't see him slam her head into? No. You didn't see. What kind of a witness is that?
Right.
With all this going on, right? The loss of a woman who you cared deeply for and her children, and the fact that it seems like the system is is retrying you for something you've already paid your debt. It doesn't seem fair at all. And we talked about the story, but what I really want to know is emotionally inside, how does this make you feel? Like I couldn't imagine very well.
Well, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because it hinders me. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't ever do that to somebody that I love.
Sure.
It's horrifying not being able to sleep at night, man. I can't live a righteous life right now because I'm stuck. I'm stuck worrying about the system, man. You know, the system got me. They put me on a PR bond after I posted a regular bond. Now I got terms and conditions. Now I got to report. Now I gotta, have these stipulations on me that I'm not used to having.
And you said also too, it's disrupting your sleep.
Yeah.
Is it causing like nightmares and different things that you're just replaying all of this? I mean, because for somebody who's actually done time, you know how horrible and miserable it is, and the idea of going back there when you have your life on track at this point, and now just throwing it all away and going back there for something that you did, which was a good thing, which is just saying, hey, don't jump out this car. I don't want you to die. I care about you.
Right.
Even if you're still talking to your ex, and I don't know if I want to be with you necessarily, but I don't want you to die. I still care about you. You're a mother to kids who I care about.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine that even the, I know that a lot of times loss of sleep also emotionally, is draining on top of what's going on, right, which is emotionally draining. Now you have the added emotional drainage of not getting a proper night's sleep since this happened.
Yeah, well, to be honest, man, it's scary. It scares me because they're trying to throw the book at me. They're trying to give me 20 years, man.
Wow.
20 years in prison for an accusation that's going to change the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Which means that if I lose or they favor her and try to bring up my past and use it against me.
But you know what? Your past charge doesn't seem that it would be related. You know what I mean? For example, if someone is being accused of a murder and they have a theft from 10 years ago and they want to bring that theft up, well, what does that have to do? Now, if you're being charged with another theft, you go, oh, well, he stole back then and now he's stealing again. And even that, if the person paid their debt to society, then they should be left at that.
Right. And I did. I paid my debt to society, and I've been clean. I've been trying to live a righteous life, and in this one decision, just this accusation could end my life. Could end.
Well, besides the lack of sleep, besides the emotional stress, besides the trauma, how else has it impacted your life? I mean, I assume financially as well?
Right. It impacts me financially. There's just so much to it. There's just, it goes deep. Apart from me not sleeping, apart from me not being able to, work the way that I'm used to working. I usually work out of town. Now I gotta check in. I gotta make sure I get the okay. If I don't, it's a violation of the terms and conditions of the PR bond.
Right.
I have a curfew now. I mean, I've been out 6 years.
Yeah. I would think, and I don't know how all this works necessarily, but I know that I was I was a juror once, right? So I would think if it gone to a group of your peers, jurors, I would think that they would say, this is ridiculous. Where's the evidence? Because she didn't make a small claim.
No.
She didn't say, oh, he grabbed me too tight. She's the things she said, there would be blood, there would be black and blues, there would be all kinds of different things. that just don't add up. So I would hope that if it did go in front of the the group of peers, there's no way that they could. I would assume that any logical, reasonable person could look at those photos and say that you even laid one finger on her. But we the thing is this, what we hope for is that what we pray for is that God's will is done, right? Whatever it is, Paul, who wrote over 2/3 of the New Testament, he was imprisoned for preaching Christ, and a lot of his greatest letters that are now included in the New Testament canon, a lot of those were written while he was locked up. And what they found remarkable was that as he was locked up in prison, he was thrilled and he was praising God. Was he thrilled that he was in prison? No. But he was thrilled that Christ is king, right? Is his king. He was thrilled about that. He was thrilled about knowing that this, we're here temporarily, but the heavenly home awaits. So, what I would assume is that there would be no reasonable person who would convict once they see evidence. But I will tell you that as somebody who, when you said trying to live a righteous life, right? Theologically, I know what you mean, right? Theologically, there's no one righteous but God.
Right.
However, you're trying to live a life of faith.
Right.
And, Scripture also tells us that when you, I believe it's Galatians 6, that when you, Ephesians 6, I apologize, what's that? That when you are faithing, when you are attaching yourself in faith to the Lord, that these trials and these tribulations are thrown at you. These arrows and these slings are thrown at you. And the good news is that if the Bible says that when the closer you press into God, you're going to have more trials and tribulations, and you see that it actually happens, and you see that it's happening, that means the other things that the book says is also real. If the part about trials and tribulations is real, that means the part about ruling and reigning with him for eternity is also real. So that is why I think Paul rejoiced when he was locked up. And that's why I would encourage you, despite all this, to rejoice now. When you're going through all this, rejoice, because if you're not being attacked, then you're doing something wrong. If you're being attacked, then you're in God's will, right? Because the enemy's not going to attack someone who's already in his camp. He's going to attack someone who's opposition. And you're actually blessed, because the Bible also says blessed men go through valleys of weeping. You're in a valley of weeping. But it says that they go through valleys of weeping. And it says, greater is he who is in you, God's Spirit, than he who is in the world, the spirit of the adversary. So when we keep these things in mind, I think that it definitely puts things in a perspective where we know we're walking through the storm, but we know whose hand we're holding as we walk through it.
Right.